Welcome, Ravens flock, to the latest installment of Ravens Across the Pond. This is the review episode of Ravens Jets. The Ravens are now top of the AFC North, but I don't think there'll be too much to celebrate. I'm joined by our usual suspects, DT and Tom, but before we get into it, let's run that intro. Beautiful. You may have noticed tonight that you're hearing my dulcet tones at the top of the show. Tom, do you want to explain yourself? How are you?
I'm feeling great. However, not suitable to host a podcast. It's our first one, going live straight after the game.
He says, with a pint in hand for those that are only listening to us via audio format. Sadly, not necessarily celebratory drinks, probably more to help you get through the game, I imagine.
Yeah, no, it weren't great, was it? There is a lot to dissect, and I'm sure Nathan will take us through that. But before we do go on, anyone else see that stat? Nearly threw up then. Fucking Minetti. See that started towards the end of the second quarter, where this time last year the Ravens were ranked first in red zone conversions, and currently now we are 28th. I put a tweet out on the not on my personal account, on the podcast account, saying this is just a poorly coached team. I did mention last week that I can't blame the red zone struggles on talent. Put a clip up there on TikTok, like across the board now. This is just poorly coached.
It sure is. But before we get into exactly what happened, DT, how are you?
I'm good. I am good after a win. Not so much the manner of the win, but a win is a win. And I'm looking forward to talking about the absolute shit show that win was. But
How does it feel to be top of the North?
It was bloody fantastic. And I cannot wait to send that soundbite to my Steeler friend.
There you
I
go.
say friend, but he's a Steeler, so he probably shouldn't be a friend.
That win there tonight, it's one of them. You take it where it comes, and it reminds me of being a young 18-year-old boy in a taxi rank at 3 a.m. in the morning, just going, you're getting in a taxi with me. A win's a win. You do it. Job done.
Starting to sound like Ian Holloway then.
And that is the...
Feel like him.
And that is that's the top level analysis you're going to get from Tom this evening, folks. So
we've had two of those nights out in a row, though. That's the issue. It's you take it if it's a rare one, and you take a bit of banter from the boys. But when it happens 2 weeks in a row, you're starting to make a name for yourself there.
It sure is. Let us get into it. What happened? 2 third-quarter rushing touchdowns from Derrick Henry put the Ravens to an extremely unconvincing 23-10 win over the New York Jets. Tyrod Taylor had 1 touchdown, 1 pick late in the fourth quarter, picked off by TJ Tampa to kind of seal this game, put a bow on it. From the Baltimore approach, a couple of chunk plays, but the yardage was very low. Lamar Jackson potentially doesn't look 100% healthy. We're starting to maybe see what was going on with that practice report in the middle of the week. And alongside that, Jordan Stout probably had the play of the day with an incredible 67-yard punt that really set the Jets back on their kind of opening 5-yard line. Breece Hall had a couple of nice plays, but ultimately fumbled the ball away in the second half. That helped the Ravens kind of ice this game a bit. DT, it wasn't convincing, but it was a win.
It was a win, and that huge punt from Stout was amazing, but it wasn't even as big as the game. He had a huge one earlier in the game, which was our joint record furthest punt. So I think the only person we can really give flowers to is probably Jordan Stout in this game. That was the only, bright spark in what was an absolute miserable watch.
Yeah, great punt. TJ Tampa got a pick as well, so give him a little bit of love. And Zay Flowers also made some nice plays this game. It was only 5 for 57, but when he got on the ball, it looked like things were going to be happening for him. A lack of Keaton Mitchell again. I'm not quite sure what he's done to Todd Monken to be in the doghouse It was called on commentary, and I think, Tom, you just kind of brought it out there with that stat about our red zone offense. So it didn't look like there was much improvement in the red zone again today. It seems to be the exact same ideas. King Henry up the middle and maybe one or two little trick plays. We had the Mark Andrews tush push again early on in this game. Why?
What was that, the first drive when he called a timeout? 12 minutes on the clock. Go on, what were you going to say, Nathan?
It was an absolute disaster class. Are we concerned that even though we're 6-5, we've now got a Bengals team that is looking like they're clicking a bit on offense? Yes, their defense is terrible. And then we've still got to play people like the Patriots, the Packers. Are we even comfortable sitting on 6-5? And even if we do get to the playoffs, are we going to get bounced in the first round, Tom?
To answer the last part of your question, most definitely. This is not. When I say this is not a good football team, I say that in regards to this isn't a well-coached football team whatsoever. As I said before, on last week's show, when we were talking about the red zone issues, I said I can't blame this on the personnel. You look at the talent everywhere, offense, defense, even on special teams, there's talent everywhere. But every single week, even on defense, like today, defense, where at its best at times, it's just been poor. Start of the season, defense was poor. Looked like Zach Orr got his shit together, made a move, changed the personnel up. Kyle Hampton looked like he was back to his best. And we were like, yeah, defense is sound. And then the offense, we knew the continued red zone struggles. They're still there. And to me, bottom line, it just comes down to poor coaching. Now, if the trend had just carried on with the defense and it was just Zach Orr, I'd be like, yeah, you make a change at that coordinator. But it's across the board now. Special teams for a couple of weeks, they've been a bit lax. I know today special teams came up with a couple of big plays, but offense, defense, special teams, I even reckon the water boy is fucking up the Gatorade mix at times. Like, it's just that poorly coached. Nobody could find their own ass with their own hands at the moment. And that just comes from the top. People may think that's extreme. People may think that's like because I've had a couple of beers, but it's just a continuing trend. I think we get to the playoffs and you look at the Bills, who everyone had coming into the season as, possible, like those Super Bowl contenders. But the last couple of weeks, they've come unstuck. Josh Allen the other night was poor. I think the Bills steamrollers in the wild. If we got them in the wild card, I think we'll do all the hard work, get to the playoffs, and then we'll fall apart again. It's just a poorly coached team, poorly executed. Even on plays that work, you can see little mistakes in them plays. And look, we are lucky that we played the Jets this week, because anyone else, I think the Titans would have beat us today if we played them.
I mean, we called out last week that we thought, well, at least we're going into the Jets, and it's should be a nice statement win after the shocker that was the Browns victory. But didn't see that either. I think our defense is what's keeping us in these games. But like you say, we've got the Bengals who are ticking on offense and are shocking on defense. And we just don't have the offense to capitulate on that. Well, to capitalize on that shocking defense. So it doesn't matter how bad their defense is. If our offense aren't going to do anything, then whatever.
Yep. And speaking of defense, 2 Baltimore Ravens players limped off during this game. Superstar Kyle Hamilton as well as Taven Bryan. 2 injuries, which John Harbaugh has just come out as saying that neither are serious, but are they serious enough to potentially rule him out on a short week?
Well, that's the issue. It's a short week, isn't it? So that's the bigger thing. Give a full week of rest. It's one thing, but a Thursday night game is a difficult situation when you've got some injuries like that took him out of the game.
Especially against a divisional rival. Thanksgiving Thursday, that is. I think if it was anyone else we were playing on Thursday night, it wouldn't be a concern whether Kyle Hampton was going to be fit or not. Either way, you could give or take it. But with it being a divisional rival, you get to that point where do you chance playing him? No, he's only 75%. You could make a difference. I think you win the game, and we could be two games clear of the division next week, or don't play him. Wait for the week after you end up getting beat. It's just a horrendous situation. It's just the way that the fixtures have fell. Bengals on Thanksgiving Thursday. I personally think that I think when we discussed the other week, when we discussed how the Ravens will go for the rest of the season, and I said I think the Ravens will win out. And I think Nathan, or it might have been yourself, DT, who said we could drop 1 or 2 to the Steelers or Bengals and still get there. I think this game on Thursday could potentially be the one where if you drop it, okay, I think we can still make it. But none of that changes the fact I still believe that we're still going to get steamrolled no matter where we get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the issue with this game is that it's not even the most difficult of the remaining divisional games. I think the Steelers are a more difficult opponent for us. They always are. The Bengals, we always tend to find a way regardless. But we'll see. We'll see what Thursday says. I think if we can get Bateman back, I think that'll be a big win. I don't know if it will happen. He's been out for 2 weeks now, and I think it was a bigger injury than perhaps initially looked. Yeah. But we've missed out on the offense. We don't have anyone in that deep threat. So, we saw a couple of throws. We had Wester, we had D-Hop doing a couple of routes, but for the most part, everything was just trying to go short yardage, and that's so easy. They've got the whole secondary then just close in on us, so no wonder we're not doing anything. Just having someone like Bateman who at least takes a bit of the eyes away downfield just allows that run in the middle. It allows Zay to make some moves in the middle. Obviously, Zay did well today, but we're just missing that deep threat, I think, at the moment that opens up options.
I think the concern is, though, we've said this about Lamar all year. Obviously, he missed numerous games injured, but even at the start of the season, he came in and he was injured during the off season, and he just hasn't looked right from the off. Like that first game of the season, that he misses a few when he's come back. He had double strapping today on his ankles, and you could just see he's himself. Even today, there was a couple of throws to Mark Andrews, didn't connect with him. That them two are like bread and butter, like hot rice pudding and custard, like like they go together. And a couple of deep runs today from D-Hop, and he's just like, this fella is a Hall of Fame wide receiver, first round ballot, absolute, and he just couldn't connect. And I just don't think Lamar is fully there, and I think it's just about managing. Remember when we were saying about the Miami game? We were like, there was a bit of management there with him coming back. I just think the Ravens have gone, give us what you've got. Like, we'll try and do something for you. And Lamar is like just carrying this whole weight on him, and his body's just like, I can't do what you're expecting me to do at this moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with a short week as well, I think you probably don't make him practice at all. You probably just rest him and maybe do a quick run through the day before of the game. It was weird that on a night where the Ravens ultimately have taken the top spot of the North, that the Bengals and Steelers ultimately put in better team performances. The Bengals obviously ran the Patriots pretty close this evening, and me and DT were just watching the end of Pittsburgh, Chicago just before we started recording. And if it wasn't for some terrible clock management, they might have got themselves into overtime of that game. So thanks, Mike Tomlin, for doing whatever the hell you just did in that game. Some interesting news just before we kind of look at the Bengals game, probably in a couple of days' time. But T. Higgins was ruled out of a concussion in the Bengals-Patriots game. So even with Jamar Chase back, the Bengals will not have their full firepower against us, which, given that we might be down one Kyle Hamilton potentially during the game, that could also kind of only help. DT, you had a big takeaway from this game, but it wasn't necessarily about the American football, was it?
Well, I was coming into the room again after advert break in the fourth quarter, just to catch the end of one of the famous American medical adverts for Jardiance, with the side effects listed: increased ketones in the blood or urine, infection in between and around the anus and genitals. Both may be fatal. Severe allergic reaction, dehydration, urinary tract and genital yeast infections in men and women, and low blood sugar. And the only takeaway I had from that was, you know what? At times that sounds better than watching the Ravens.
I mean, God damn it, you've got to be in up real shit creek if taking that tablet is going to make your life any better whatsoever, because the long list of horrible side effects, it cannot be worth the squeeze.
That's probably the most entertaining thing during that 3-hour period was just how incredible some of those American infomercials are and how baffling it is to think that people put themselves through that shit. Although, again, we put ourselves through watching the Ravens the last 2 weeks. I'll tell you, there are some positives, like we said. There was a couple of takeaways. Marlon doing classic OG Marlon stuff, pulling balls out, being really physical, forcing fumbles. That's what we like to see. That was a particular difficult drive for us. We were really struggling to defend the run on that. And just as they got to the goal line, Marlon made a huge stop there to stop Breece Hall, which was lovely to see. So slight positives.
Yeah, that's something we've been kind of clamoring for, the old punch the ball out trick. It's been missing from this defense for a while this year, so it was nice to see that play off. And it was just a shame that
do you know who isn't going to punch a ball out? Roquan Smith. Like, what are we saying about Roquan?
I mean,
like at times tackling ghosts. Like,
he also had a massive whiff on a sack today that I'd like to say it was just him, but I think 3 or 4 players today for the Ravens had whiffs. So
he was chasing that many demons. I was going to get on the phone to Derek Acora and say, go and help him out, mate. Like, that bad. Like, awful. And I know towards the back end of last year, he was decent, but even at the start of last year, he was awful. I can remember us saying in one of the old chats that we used to be in about Roquan, like, what's happened to him. I just think he started the same again.
I mean,
he hasn't been poor all year. Like, when he was poor at the start of this year, he had a couple of good games, and it's just like, now fell off a cliff. He looks like me on a Sunday morning, hungover, trying to kidnap like Uber Eats drivers, like driving past me, just clutching at nothing.
That would be tomorrow morning then. I mean, I was sat there wearing my Roquan jersey thinking I could probably helmet up and get in that game, and they would probably straight away notice a difference. And it's not the significant physical difference, it's the fact that I would probably actually make some tackles compared to him. I say that I'd get battered, but the point still
is one for you. Is Roquan Smith one of them kind of defensive leaders, as they'd call him, but he does all this screaming and shouting before the game, like don't let anyone put you that, all that motivational shit, like kind of like you've ordered Ray Rice off Alibaba. That's what you get that turns up, and in reality he's just blowing hot air like a brand new steam iron. Like, all he's good for is getting creases out, because what I continually see from him, he doesn't turn up often enough for me at all.
I think it's harsh. I think today was a particularly dodgy game with a few dodgy plays, but I think overall this season he's been a much better player than he was last year. I think obviously when he first came to us, he was an absolute beast. He was dominant on the field, great voice off the field, played, amazingly. He made Queen an incredible player for that one season, and now he's, shit again, but that's fine. It's not our problem. But yeah, last season he was down again, but for most of this season, he's been an absolute beast and made some great plays. So, can't afford him to be the player he was today, but we'll see, and hopefully it doesn't continue.
Nathan, if you're EDC, do you extend him?
Roquan? Probably not at this stage. I think he's already got quite interesting cap hits going into the next 2 seasons. I was just looking to see what a post-June first cut would look like for 2026, and you can save about 20 mil and spread the dead cap over 26 and 27. So if he doesn't improve, I mean, we could even be looking at that kind of scenario, which isn't great for anyone. But at this stage, I don't think, given who else we need to extend, I don't think Roquan Smith is going to be near the top of the list going forward right now, especially if people like Teddy Buchanan continue to at least be serviceable in that middle linebacker spot. There's money that could be better spent elsewhere for me at the moment.
Yeah. I'll tell you what else I'm sick of, and this is a slightly different topic now. I'm sick of Keaton Mitchell not getting
making stickers of
enough
me eating a
plays.
sausage.
Let's
just have it out there.
I'm not sick of making stickers of you eating a sausage. I'll make more stickers of you eating a sausage, and you'll love it as much as all the people that those stickers are put on top. I've loved it by the looks of it. No, I'm sick of Keaton Mitchell not getting the ball. Like, he had a couple of massive plays today, one of which was obviously pulled back for bloody Tyler Linderman's hold. But every time he gets it, every time he makes a play, he's getting yardage. He's getting 10 yards. He's getting 34 yards. Like, Derrick Henry running through the middle isn't working. So just mix it up sometimes. It works eventually once they get really tired. And that's what we saw in this game. For the first half, Derrick Henry did basically fuck all because he just ran into a wall the whole time. Like, towards the end, that wall was basically half knocked down, and it's the Jets, so they have no energy. So it's absolutely fine. But when it's not working, just give it to Keaton to run around the edge. Just tire them out. Make them use their legs. Like, just fucking give him the ball. Honestly, Todd Monken.
I mean, what we can establish from this is that Todd Monken has not been listening to the last couple of episodes, because we did not come out and try a flea flicker. We did not do any base tush push offense for the entire game.
It's either tush push for the fucking first quarter. However, on Keaton Mitchell, since Keaton Mitchell came through, it has been the same. First game through, like, unbelievable. Then he gets injured. And, like, since he's come back, it's been like just unnecessarily restricting him. Like, we know Derrick Henry's going to get 90% of the workload. You're paying him money, so obviously you want him to take 90% of the snaps. You're paying him big money. But every single time Keaton Mitchell gets the fucking ball, you see what he can do, and you're like, just give him a little bit more. Like, I know Emily ends up with like 2 touchdowns today, and I credit myself with that, because I'd said earlier on in the fucking game in our ever-growing WhatsApp community of great UK Ravens fans joining the Ravens Across the Pond crew, that Derrick Henry couldn't run through a wet paper bag, and the next thing, you know, bang, 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 scores 2. However, like, give Keaton, like, early on in the first quarter, second quarter, give Keaton Mitchell a go. Like, the kid is magic. He is absolutely fucking magic. And there's that romance there and the link he's got with the city as well. Like, how many sports do we see that in where, like, not necessarily a hometown kid? Like, we get that an awful lot in the UK with, like, soccer and that. Like, hometown kid comes through with the club he's grew up and supports. He's been there since he was, like, 5, 6. But, like, in American football, like, you have players who have links with franchise. We had it a couple of years ago with what was his name? It was the guy. It was a tackle. He ended up getting traded.
Michael Orr.
No, Odegaard. Right? Was he right guard?
Zeus that went to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had that link. And, like, Keaton Mitchell's got a link with this organization, and every single time you've seen him, you're like, the kid just gets it. Like, he gets what it is to be a Raven, to play like a Raven, and he's got, like, this thing on his back where, you know, underappreciated, like, not recognised, and every single time he turns up on that fucking field, like, he blows his bollocks out.
Yeah, in British football, you know, it's playing for the badge, isn't it? That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's just playing for the badge. I wonder if it is just a case of management around his injury still. Like, if he's not necessarily fully comfortable on his injury, you know, he's a little bit weaker still. Maybe it's a bit of management around that, but.
But surely it can't. When did this 21-day window open? It was last season. Did he come back last?
And you'd think that even if it was easing him back in, or the workload, that you'd get a sustained snap count or some attempts a game, but it doesn't seem to be trending in any direction at all. It's just like you get 3 or 4, and that's your lot, which is nuts.
His 21-day window opened last year. The back end of last year, his 21-day window opened because he went down. Did he go down just before the playoffs the year before?
Yeah, maybe.
Like ACL or whatever he done, heavy injury. So his 21-day window opened in 2024, and then correct me if I'm wrong. Like, fucking 3 sheets to the wind here. Don't think he played last year, but then You've had all of the off season. You've known he's been stepping up last year because you've opened a 21-day window for him, so he's taking serious reps. You're by doing that, you're getting him ready to play, and then for whatever he doesn't play towards the back end of last year, then he's got all the off season, all of pre-season. Like, for me, it can't be about managing the workload early on in the year because he would have been ready for season finished in February.
Yeah, to be fair, actually, I'm chatting bollocks because he's on special teams. He's on returns, so you're not going to be putting him on return if he's risk of injury. He's going to get battered even more at that. So no, it's just Todd Monken being a dick again. I thought I'd try and save him a bit of credit, but no.
But this is what I mean. This is like, I'll keep saying it now. It is poorly coached all the way through. Like, you look at what happened in the off season, like with like losses and additions coming in. You look at the offense and Todd Monken, Zach Orr, and the defense is like every year, the first 6-7 weeks, it's always been under question. Put that to one side at the moment. But like Todd Monken, and I hate to say it again, we have gone from this time last year being number 1 in red zone conversions of touchdowns to being 28th in the fucking league. Like 28th.
And we were terrible on red zone, and we were also terrible in third downs for this game for most of it as well. Like we lost first 5 for third downs, we didn't convert. Like we managed to convert some on fourth down.
But think about that: first to 28.
Yeah,
who've we lost across the offense, talent wise, since last season? Obviously you brought in D up the back end of last year. He's come back, so you've got Flowers, Bateman, Kohler, Ricard, Andrews,
likely,
Diop, likely.
It's all the same.
So it's all exactly the same. It's not like we've lost 2 or 3 personnel and we've gone, bear with us for a year. We're going to try and get to the playoffs this year and then we'll go again the year after. It's exactly the fucking same. Like, it just screams poorly coached. Like, fuck me, I thought Greg Roman was bad towards the end, but this under Todd Monken, with this offense, you need to be doing better than that. Like, you couldn't score a leg over in a brothel at the moment, Todd Monken. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is shite.
When we get into like goal territory, like sub 10 yards, it's just the same plays. The first 2 drives are nearly always Henry running the ball up the middle, which that's even in games like today where it's not been working for the whole game anywhere on the field. Still try it when there's even more defenders around you, and yes, it doesn't work. And then eventually on third down, we'll maybe try something a little bit different, which then you've only got 1 try to make it work. Like, just get some inventive plays in there, play some different things. Look like you're going to run Henry through the middle and do something else.
Exactly. But yeah, Todd Monken has been a punch bag of the pod for the last 6 weeks. Going back to a previous episode we had with Kevin, our striker, we talked about the potential need to run the table to be in with a chance of making the playoffs. We are now 6-5. The Steelers are now 6-5. The Steelers' next 4 games are the Bills, the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the Lions. Who can come up with an argument that the Steelers don't lose 3 of their next 4, and actually, if we split the next 4 games, they'll actually win in no worse position than we would be anyway. This whole running the table thing, I think the Steelers, this is probably when the Steelers had a much better record than they did, but now they've been dropping games like flies. Mason Rudolph doesn't look ready to run an NFL offense, so let's just hope that Aaron Rodgers stays out for a few more weeks. I'm not quite sure what the current status of his hand injury is. But yeah, if the Steelers drop 3 of their next 4 and we go 3-1, we'll have a commanding lead over this North by Christmas time, I think. So, there is room for positivity, room for a little bit of joy. And I think on Tuesday or Wednesday's preview episode, I think Tom's going to give us a nice list of things that he's thankful for on this holiday season.
Do you know what? Like, I hate Schittsburg and every single thing about them, right? Apart from one person, Mike fucking Tom. Like, however long he's been there, I think he's had 1 losing season. And you talk about these next 4 games for the Steelers. I think Rodgers will be back next week, and I can see them. I think they'll probably go 750 minimum. They'll go 500 through their next 4 games. Like and going back to the Ravens, poorly coached. Mike Tomlin at the Steelers, if he had the front office that the Ravens had, he'd have 3-4 Super Bowls. Whereas you flip it and go, if the front office of the Ravens had a Mike Tomlin, they'd have 3-4 Super Bowls. Like Mike Tomlin, it pains me to say it, he is the only thing I like about the Steelers is one unbelievable head coach. And he can do things with that team. Like all the issues a couple of years ago with like Big Ben, like Defoe's going to retire the year before and everything that went on there. And like,
oh yeah, how Mike Tomlin got around an offense that consisted of Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell is an absolute miracle because they are all head cases.
That's more criminal than Antonio Brown.
No, but like, surely you can see what I'm saying. Like, if you give the Ravens front office Mike Tomlin, since say for example 2018 when the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson, are we sat here now going, our last Super Bowl win was 2012?
It's a fair point. I agree.
I think we'd be in a bit like better. Like he came in when he came into the league, the youngest. Like I think he was the youngest head coach ever. And in his second year, he went on and won a Super Bowl. And he's had one losing season, and he has had some shite.
0. He's never had a losing season.
Yeah, he's never had a losing season. I was going to say,
so did he finish 500 that 1 year? Or did he go 8-8?
It was last season, wasn't it? He managed to pull them to
9-8 last season, right at the end. Yeah, it was looking like it. He may have had
certain he's had one losing season
before they extended it. He may have had an 8-8. He never had a losing season. He's had he might have had an equal season before they extended it to 9-8 to the extra team. But
I'm googling this.
The Steelers probably have finished 8-8, but he's never.
Yeah, he's not had a losing season. But that's the thing. They're going to finish 9-8 again this year. So all we've got to do is win at least 4 games of our remaining schedule and we beat them. So that's fine.
Yeah, no, he hasn't. So on that note, I'll see you later. Goodbye.
Well, to your point, Nathan, in terms of can we say anything? The only thing I can say in terms of talking about the Steelers' next 4 games and do we see them getting any wins? Is it's been a weird season. There's been some mad results. The Bills lost this week to whoever it was, Texans or whatever. Like it's Seahawks had a tough game today against the Titans. Like obviously the Lions went to overtime. They nearly lost to the Bears. There are teams that are really decent teams having some absolutely mad performances. The Chiefs have been obviously having loads of shocking games. So it's one of those weird seasons where really anything can happen.
And at the time of recording, the Shedeur Sanders-led Cleveland Browns are 14 up against the Raiders. There you go. That'll date this podcast awfully. Shedeur Sanders breakout game.
There you go. Anything can bloody happen. It's fucking mad. What was it? Didn't you say on our last on the last pod when you were doing the fantasy flock up to pick any of the Raiders players against that Browns defense? Or
this week did not go pretty much how I thought it was going to go. I mean, I didn't expect this pod to be going the way it's gone. Tom's vanished off the face of the earth. Much like the way the Cleveland Browns.
Still here.
He's still here. He's still here. He's probably just having a little nap.
That's fair. Which is fair enough. I think it's probably what Tyler Luke was doing while he was learning the new rules of the kickoff, because this is now the 5th, was it, that he's managed to not get in the target zone or whatever they call it, the landing zone, Tyler Luke's kickoff. So
yeah,
he's the
how much of a problem
is
that going to be? And
that's the most of any player. And all it is obviously giving up extra yards, but those yards are important. And, you don't know how many yards it is. It's 40, but that could have been pinned someone back, make a big tackle, happy days. Like those yards mean a lot, especially when it's wearing down their team and helping them stay on the field.
And that's just like, it's either his inability to pick it up in coaching and training sessions, or the coaching just aren't getting in his ear enough and really forcing the issue. I would rather, miss one kick game. But if you're giving up, 15, 20 yards on an opening drive against the Jets, fine. Because again, I think we saw that the Jets are not a very good football team. But you tried doing that next week against the Bengals, whether it's Joe Flacco, whether it's Joe Burrow, who might be starting that game. But you don't need to give them an extra 15 yards before we even have had a snap. They will just eat you alive.
Yeah, you're basically giving them a free first down. I think the thing with Loop is obviously he's a rookie kicker. He's got some learning to do. He's got to kind of gel into it. But I think probably what we're seeing is, you watch any of his kicks, even if it's a really short field goal, even if it's extra point, and he absolutely boots it. Like he is nothing. He's either all in or nothing. So I feel like when he's trying to not absolutely welly it, he just comes really short. He doesn't have that ability to kind of pinpoint his power. It's just full power or nothing.
Coming to Luke's defense, I think with them kickoffs, he's trying them like dirty kickoffs. I think he's trying to like land a scrib kick just on the line, and then it gives the defense time to try and get up there. I think that was mentioned late in the third quarter after the kickoff, that surely that must be what he's trying to do, because I know early on in the season he did it. I think in the first 2-3 games we were like, come on, kid. But
if you're going to try those things, you've got to nail it, haven't you? Really, you got to properly practice them so that you can actually do them, and then we can say, hey, you know what? Like some bloody fantastic kickoffs there. He really, those little trick kickoffs, whatever. But he's now the most in the NFL for.
Surely it's like training for a penalty shootout. You step up and out 12 yards out, you're going to do it, but try and do it in front of 80,000 people.
Well, that's why you'll never get me doing a fucking Pinnacle on a penalty shootout. I'd rather just place it properly and actually take a rather than do a stupid run.
That's because Wales never make it to the knockouts, do they?
I'm not nibbling, so I was so close. I am. I'm bloody going in.
One final thing to just comment on this game. Anyone keeping track of draft pick capital? The Draymond Jones trade relied on a certain number of sacks, and also the Ravens making the playoffs for that fifth to become a fourth rounder. He is now past the amount of sacks required with 1.5 this evening. So if the Ravens make the playoffs, that fifth becomes a fourth, and I think money well spent until we obviously get unceremoniously kicked out at the first time of asking. So yeah, the Draymond Jones trade on the whole looks pretty good. He was getting some good pressure today. Mike Green didn't have the multi-sack game that Tom predicted, but none of our bold predictions
did get one though, didn't he?
But he didn't get a sack. He got a really good pressure. He basically forced a errant throw. He made a really great play, Mike Green. It's good to see that. Did he only get 1.5, Jones?
Getting to the
he shared it with someone else.
Not getting through to the championship. Wrexham the best team in Wales.
As long as you don't say Swansea, that's fine. Who was it? Who was credited with the other half on the sack?
The other half of the sack.
I think it was what's his name? They went off injured, wasn't it? He hobbled off after that. Was it? If it was the second one, Jones got him down, but then it was someone.
You think it was Taven Bryan?
Quite possibly. He hobbled off.
Yes, it was Taven Bryan. You're right. Yeah,
just he hobbled off on that play.
Yeah.
That was the play that he got injured on. So at least he got half a sack for it.
Keep an eye on those practice reports over the next couple of days, because I think we can't be affording to be down any defensive players when it comes to playing.
I think Lamar's going to be DMP all the way through, isn't he?
I would rest him. I don't think there's going to be a lot of time Monday. They won't have a session. Mondays will be a walkthrough. Tuesday, so I have 2 opportunities to practice. I would probably hold him out of one and make him limited for the other, just to make sure he gets some reps in. Not that seems to matter, because the play calling is awful anyway.
Do we see a situation where Shea gets to that Steelers game, and I was trying to think, like we say, yes, to that Steelers game, we've already secured the wild card, but beat the Steelers, and say, for example, it depends on the Bills result. You missed the Bills in the wild card round with the playoff spot already guaranteed. Do you sit Lamar, knowing how much he's suffered of injuries? Do you sit Lamar for that Steelers game going, no matter what the Bills do, we are preparing for them. We need Lamar at his best for the Bills. Could we see Lamar sitting out week 18?
Yeah.
If it makes sense to, I would. I don't think you'd be bonkers trying to play for the easier side of the draw with the way we're currently playing anyway.
Yeah.
We should just be happy to be there. And if you can get Lamar and a couple of guys an extra week of rest, I think it's something you've definitely got to consider doing. We have got a track record of doing it. I remember the horrendous, was it the 14-2 season where we also rested guys even though we knew we were going to be the 1 seed, and then had an awful game against Tennessee in the playoffs. But there is
Lamar did absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
there is.
Was that the Derrick Henry stiff arm game on Earl Thomas III?
Yeah, so there is such thing as too much rest. But yeah, if you get to week 18, it's just 1 week, and you know you're going to be in the wild card, I'd do it. There's no harm in it.
Stiffest thing Thomas III seen since his brother. I think, to be honest, the weird way that the thing with this season is, though, there's a lot of results going that actually the playoff picture may not be as clear as it has been in previous seasons. So it actually might be that we're actually better off just sacking off the last game to get a worse seeding and end up playing a generally worse team on paper.
I know, but the way they're playing, like,
well, this is the thing: is you could end up with some of the teams sneaking into the playoffs that are actually the ones that are going to be our bogey teams. The Bills, the Chiefs. They're not necessarily nailed on for 1 seed. So
I will go on record and say, like, how open the league is this year. I think, like, when the Ravens won in 2012 and they were the 6th seeded team in the AFC, I think I can see a team seeded 7th winning the whole lot here. I just think with how open the league is, it's going to be who gets hot in December, who gets hot in January. Like, that's what I see. I just think with the way the Ravens are playing, because it's been playoff football practically since the beginning of October with how they fucking started. Like, even the last couple of games, we've won 6 on the bounce now. But we're lucky because of the strength of schedule. And we've got to bring it up because we brought it up at the start of the season when Lamar was injured. We were like, well, even if Lamar was fit with that strength of schedule, we probably would have took 1 and 3 at the start. So if we're going to take it then, you've got to discuss it now. Like, I just don't. It just comes back to this team is poorly coached, and
Well, if we can get it ticking, start of the season, the offense was absolutely ticking, the defense was shocking. Defense started ticking, and then the offense hasn't really come back since since Lamar came back. Really, if he can shrug off whatever's bobbing him down, and we can actually get that offense back to what it was at the very start of the season, and the defense is doing what it is at the moment, then we can be that team that's in January absolutely flying. But it's a big if, so it's a lot of work to be done.
I'd just like to apologise for the audience for calling out Shedeur Sanders' breakout game. He's just thrown a pick against the Raiders. The Shedeur Sanders breakout game is no longer. He's back to being a bust.
It's back to being a broken game.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about the 2 7th seeds potentially being the winners. They currently are Jacksonville and the 49ers. Out of those two, I think it's quite obvious who I would take as of right now if I had to pick one of those to be the winner.
There you go. See, it's going to be a mad end to the season.
How about Trevor Lawrence? Like, I know we usually finish off on Ravens stuff, but I said it Dan's eye the other day on the Trevor Lawrence this year, because of the state of the league, and this isn't taking his ability into account, but this year the state of the league, Trevor Lawrence has put himself in a top 10 conversation.
Well, he was always
a rookie head coach coming in, all that Duval shite and all that. He's been superb, and I would love to see him, but I just think as of how open the league is, it's going to be kind of a repeat of 2016, 2012.
I mean, it's very impressive to do it without Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, which is what he's currently having to deal with today as well. He had to get Brenton Strange back today, and he's already thrown a touchdown to him. So, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is much improved. I think he had to be improved. I think he had a lot of pressure on him, especially because he's signed a contract that at the time looked bizarre, but is now seemingly playing himself into it, which is good for Jacksonville.
They've backed him though, haven't they? They've backed the talent that like they drafted. Like he was a generational talent coming out of college.
This is the thing. Must be the worst thing about being an absolute sensational NFL player. You can be the absolute best player in your whole class, and then you end up in a team like the Jags, and you've got nothing you can do about it. Like it's obviously the worst thing about the system, surely. But obviously it works.
I'd rather play for the Jags than the Browns
Or the Jets.
or the Jets.
I'd rather play for Cardiff than the Browns.
I'll take that as a compliment.
He's not biting. It's a no biting day. And on that note,
all my biting's gone on the Ravens tonight. They've taken all the bite out of me.
It's gone on fucking sticker making.
It's gone on sticker mating and biting down on some Giants to save myself from that fucking Ravens game.
There you go. Right. We will be back on Wednesday, I believe, for the Thanksgiving preview show against the Bengals. Hopefully we'll have Rich back. It's been a while since we've seen Rich.
We might have to get another fantasy expert in because I think you might get beat there.
I think I'm projected to win at the moment, so fingers crossed. We're trending back up again. We'll do a bit of Thanksgiving preview. I'm sure there'll be a lot more nonsense. Rich is currently in Bristol tonight on a Ravens watch party, so I'm sure he'll like to report back with some antics
Trying to
from
find
there.
a trucker.
None to be found. Bottled it.
Where's Wally?
Exactly. Right. I have been Nathan for Ravens Across the Pond. DT has been DT. Tom, you've been Tom. Boys, you've said it all. He's been pissed.
Tom's been a shell of himself. It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, gents. Thank you very much.
Until next time.
Take it easy, gents.